Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding today's hearing. It really is important that we revisit the true cost of the Inflation Act. And I know many of my colleagues have raised the new $1.2 trillion price tag of the tax credits in the Inflation Act. But I also want to draw attention to another area that was just mentioned about the true cost of these credits. The IRA is chock full of requirements to utilize unionized labor, prevailing wage mandates, and union apprenticeship ratios. And I would never, I respect labor unions and the choice that workers have to participate in a labor union. But in my district and across the country as well, about 90% of our workers have chosen not to be part of a labor union. And in that regard, this policy is discriminatory against most of the workers in my district, in addition to increasing costs when we limit competition only to union companies. I want to also mention two things that were brought up in the hearing. One was labor force participation rate. I think Mr. Blumenauer brought this up. And he mentioned that we are at record highs. And I'd like to submit for the record, Mr. Chairman, a chart posted by the St. Louis Fed, if I can do so.
So ordered.
This chart shows that just prior to the pandemic, February 2020, labor participation rate was at 63.3%. And the latest, March 2023, it was 62.6%. But so still not at pre-pandemic participation rates. Very important. But it shows that Democrat policies have failed to have workers return to the workforce in the numbers they were prior to COVID. That has a lot of different policy impacts. And one additional thing, Social Security was mentioned, and Democrats are fond of saying that Republicans are taking actions that would hurt the beneficiaries of Social Security. I want to remind people listening that the Biden administration recognizes that within 9 years the trust fund will be insolvent, which would result in individuals relying on Social Security getting about 80% of their total benefits that are owed to them. And they have chosen in their budget to not address that in any way. No policy proposals that would fix Social Security to ensure that we can keep the promises that were made to people relying on Social Security. Talked a lot, Mr. Turner, I appreciated some of your comments. You talked about the impact of the policies on rural Americans. Certainly, I'm seeing the impact of rising gas prices on people all across my district. I've had individuals talk to me saying they had to make tough decisions about buying food or gasoline. Interestingly, President Biden has characterized our rising gas prices as an incredible transition, is what he called it. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland refused to say gas prices were too high when prices had surpassed $6 per gallon in some parts of the U.S. It really appears that driving prices higher on traditional energy may be intentional on the part of those who want to see us move to renewable energy faster than the market would allow for. Do you think that's true? Do you think this is intentional, that this administration wants to see higher gas prices that are hurting American people?
Yeah, Congressman, thank you for the question. Absolutely, it's intentional because fossil fuels are very, very popular in America. And even if people may use them as a pejorative, Americans love the fossil fuel economy that is created. They love the convenience. They love the comfort. It is the reason why millions of people, legally and illegally, are trying to get into this country because fossil fuels have made us an incredible country. To make fossil fuels unpopular,
I'm going to stop you because I'm running out of time. Thank you. I think the case can be made this is intentional on the part of the administration to see higher gas prices, and the impact of the American people is devastating. Mr. Jin, you talked about industrial policy, government picking winners and losers, and we certainly see that in the IRA. Talk a little more about the impacts of that. How does that affect, you talked about the importance of economic growth. I could not agree more, but how does industrial policy impact economic growth?
It simply crowds out other more productive purposes that were chosen by the marketplace compared with government planning or the use of taxpayer dollars for propping up specific industries or businesses overall. But that should be done based on profitability, not based on the taxpayer's dime.
Thank you.